It's going to be 10-2, equations of a line. Today, we're going to be able to create an equation of a line in three forms: point slope, slope intercept, and standard form, and we may even examine some real-life examples of this. Now, if a line goes through the points 2, 5, and 3, 2, let's write the equation of a line in all three forms. So the first thing we always have to do is we have to find the slope. So if I say that this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2, using those 2 points, I can find my slope, right? That's going to be my m. Now, the point slope form of the equation, this is going to be our first one. We call this our go-to equation. We're always going to create our line using this equation. And so the actual point slope form is y minus y1 equals my m times x minus x1. I plug all the information in there. So here's my y1, and I plug that in. Here's my x1, I plug that in, and then my m was -3, I plug that in. We're done. This is the answer. That is my point slope form. Now if I take that point slope form, I can convert it into slope intercept form. And the way that we're going to do that is first we're going to distribute this -3 through, and then I can add my 5 to both sides. And if I do that, I get y equals -3x plus 11. And so this will be my slope intercept form. And then the last, from that slope intercept form, how do I convert it into standard form? I'm going to add the 3x to both sides. And so it's going to be 3x plus y equals 11. And so this is going to be my standard form equation. Now, as a recap, these are going to be the 3 forms of the line. My point slope, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Slope intercept, y is by itself. So that's really important. Y is by itself. And then in standard form, ax plus by equals c. Now it's important that a, b, and c are integers, and a has to be positive. So there can't be fractions in standard form. If you ever do get a fraction, you have to employ measures to get rid of it. So our first example here, it says find the equation of the line in all 3 forms passing through the given 2 points, -3, 7 and -2, 4. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find that slope. So my m is going to equal, I can say this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so this is going to give me -3. This add together, so over 1. So that's going to be my m. So -3 over 1 are just -3. And so now plugging it into my point slope form, I get y minus y1 equals my m times x minus my x1. Now because that's a -3, that's why it turns into a positive. You do the opposite. So this right here, this is my point slope. So now we have to take this point slope form and we have to turn it into our slope intercept. And so the key here is in slope intercept form, y is by itself. So I want to distribute this -3 through, so I get -3x minus 9. I'm going to add 7 to both sides, and I'm going to get y equals -3x minus 2. And so this right here, that's going to be my slope intercept form. And so last, my standard form, if I have y equals -3x minus 2, if I add 3x to both sides, I'm going to get 3x plus y equals -2. This right here is my standard form. And so here are all of my 3 of my forms. So the first thing that I did is I have to make sure that I have a slope, and so I had to use that slope formula to find it. Then step 2, you're going to plug it into this form here, which is my point slope form. It's the go-to equation. You're always going to start with that. You're not going to plug it into slope intercept, even though you technically can, but it's always just easiest to start straight into your point slope form. Then from point slope, step 3, convert it into your slope intercept form. So I manipulated this equation into my slope intercept form. And then step 4, I manipulated this into my standard form. And that's going to be my answer. Example number 2, it says find the equation of the line in all three forms passing through the given 2 points. And I already did the slope and I already have that, so my first step is already done. So step 2, plug into the point slope form. So I get y minus y1 equals my m times x minus x1. So plugging everything in, I'll say this is x1 and this is y1. And so I get y minus y1 equals my m times x minus my x1. And so this right here, this is my point slope form. And so now to turn it into my slope intercept form, I'm going to have to distribute that -5 through. So I get y plus 1 equals -5 halves x. And then negative negative is a positive, and I'm going to get 25 over 2. And so now I need to subtract the 1. And so I'm going to get y equals -5 halves x. Now, changing that to the same denominator, I'm going to get plus 23 over 2. And so now this right here, this is my y equals mx plus b form. And so now the last thing, I got to manipulate it into standard form. So I have to add the 5 halves x to both sides. And so I'm going to get 5 halves x plus y equals 23 over 2. Now we said they have to be integers and x has to be positive. Well, right now they're not integers. So I have to multiply everything by 2 to cancel out the denominator. So that cancels out and that cancels out. So I'm going to get 5x plus 2y equals 23. And this right here is going to be my result for standard form. Now, oftentimes it's going to be useful to write an equation of a line using the slope and a point, but just understand that sometimes maybe something funky could happen. So if I wanted to write the equation of a line with an undefined slope, well, how is this going to even work? Y minus y1 equals undefined times x minus x1? What? Like, how does that even work? It doesn't. And so you actually can't use the conventional means to be able to find the equation of the line. You can't use that point slope form to do it. And so yesterday we talked about whenever it's undefined, it's always going to be x equals the number. And so doing that, it's going to be x is going to be -2. So just be careful with that. Just understand that on an undefined slope, using the point slope form isn't going to be good enough. Now let's look at a couple of word problems. It says a landscaping company charges $45 per cubic yard of mulch plus a delivery charge of $20. Find a linear function which computes the total cost C in dollars to deliver X cubic yards of mulch. So this whole $45 per cubic yard of mulch, I can express that as 45x because it's $45 times the number of cubic yards. And so I have that, and then it says a charge of $20. That's just a static flat charge. And so the way that I can express my equation is going to be C of x equals 45x plus 20. Next one, it says a local pizza store offers medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $6 per pizza plus $1.50 delivery charge per order. On weekends, the store runs a game day special. If 6 or more medium 2-topping pizzas are ordered, they're $5.50 each with no delivery charge. Write a piecewise defined linear function which calculates the cost C in dollars of X medium 2-topping pizzas delivered during the weekend. So taking a look at this, I have a couple of things going on. I have one statement here. It says a store offers medium 2-topping pizza for $6 plus $1.50 delivery charge. But on the weekends, it's just $5.50 flat with no delivery charge, but I have to order 6 or more. So that means there's, if it's asking me for what's going on a weekend, there's 2 different things going on here. I have an equation when I'm ordering pizzas 1 through 5, and then I have a different equation if I order pizzas 6. And so we can define that or express that as a piecewise function. And so the cost for, if it's less than 6 pizzas, that's going to be 6x plus 150, but my domain is when x is between 1 and 5. But it's going to be 5.5x when I start ordering 6 or more pizzas. So then combining that together as a piecewise, I have this statement here. It'll be 6x plus 1.5 if x is between 1 and 5, 5.5x if x is greater than or equal to 6, which is going to be my answer. To close today's lesson, what did we learn today? We looked at the 3 different equations of a line, and from a slope and a point, how to create those 3 different equations of a line. Now, if there's anything else that we talked about, I want to hear from you. Now, how do I find the slope of an equation? So I want you guys to go ahead and put that in the comments. And what are the 3 different equations of a line? This does conclude our lesson. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments.